Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
Welcome to this edition of the Tiger Turf Talk podcast. I'm Drew Miller. We are excited to bring you a two-part Sports Field Management Association podcast presented by the Toro Company. In this episode, we will be talking to some new and old friends of the podcast and catching up with them aboard the Georgia Queen riverboat at the opening reception of the SFMA conference in Savannah, Georgia. On this podcast, we have some incredible guests. Starting off with our first repeat guest, we have Miss Leah Withrow of the Renovations. Leah is one of the best human beings out there. I've had the pleasure of getting to know her really well over the last few months, and it is truly awesome to see such a young, talented individual in this industry taking such a liking and love for the passion of sports field management, and being able to talk to her about her plans, what she's expecting. She's getting a new Toro mower this year and is really excited about what she's going to be able to do with this new technology that we get to discuss with the Toro product producers, and it's truly awesome. And then we have on Mr. Steve Ruckman, the coordinator for Henrico County Parks and Rec. We get to talk about how incredible it is to have the opportunity to create memories for young individuals in this country, specifically in Central Virginia, near Richmond. I know Ruck for a long time in connection with a good friend of mine, and he's an incredible person, and we get to discuss different levels, what it takes to maintain such a large space, especially when it comes to coming out of COVID and dealing with, again, such a high volume of traffic and all of the new and incredible opportunities that we've all found in the outdoors, specifically in the parks in our communities. And we can't thank Steve enough for taking the time. And then we had the pleasure of having Mrs. Kelly Lynch on of Pure Seed, the regional manager for Northern America. It was awesome to be able to discuss everything that she had going on. She was sort of the MC for the women's lunch, and how incredible it was to see all these young individuals and these women come together to discuss the industry and how they've progressed and how it's having such an incredible impact on our industry as a whole. And we all got to discuss, again, what has been a crazy year for the seed side of turf, understanding how the shortages are becoming such a relevant source for everyone, whether it's Parks and Rec all the way up to ball fields in the professional stage, And last but not least, we have the incredible Nick McKenna, the past president of the Sports Field Management Association. Truly one of the most incredible human beings you will ever meet. Someone who is so passionate about what we do as sports field managers, who cares so deeply about everything that's going on in our association, in our industry, and is advocating for all of us each and every day. And we really got to dive into the specific thought process and the idea going into the rebranding of this industry, and really the rebranding of our association when it comes to the sports field management side versus turf. And Nick, I truly cannot thank you enough for everything you've done for my kids, for my students, and truly we are humbled to be the recipient of this year's President's Leadership Award. We can't thank you enough. We were very surprised, and we really appreciate it. It's been a really great opportunity to talk to all these people, and we are so happy to be partnering with the Toro Company to, again, give you sort of the insight of what's going on in our industry from all angles, and to really bring in the new year of 2022 with incredible new products and incredible new opportunities for all of us here in the sports field management industry. Please enjoy this episode of Tiger Turf Talk. Good evening and welcome to this very special podcast of Tiger Turf Talk. I'm your host, Drew Miller, with your co-host, Sam Rui. We are partnering with Toro, the Toro Company, to discuss different consumers and how things are going. And we have an absolutely incredible human being right next to me, Miss Leah Withrow of the Renovations. How you doing? How was your trip in? Obviously, it's been eventful, being from the West Coast, coming out to the East Coast.
I have now been up for 24 hours with about 3 hours of sleep in between that. So I'm doing awesome.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yes. What was the trip like? Being in six different flights, right?
4 flights.
Dear God.
Yeah.
4 flights.
Nope.
4 airports, 3 flights. But yeah, it was. I left Reno at 5:30 last night. Got to LAX, sat in LAX for 3 hours. Got to Atlanta, sat in Atlanta for 3 hours.
Oh God.
Went from Atlanta to Savannah and got here at like 9:30 this morning.
This is dedication. Okay, right here.
I don't
hope you
mess
learn
around.
from this. Yes.
Yeah.
Dedication. Because she went backwards to come all the way over here.
The
Friggin' LAX from Reno. God.
The SFMA conference.
Ooh, you right.
is
SFMA?
Fantastic news.
priority numero uno in my January schedule. So
Of course.
it didn't matter if it was red eye or not. I was coming.
I mean, come see me, right? You know.
Yep.
I'm just
Wait,
kidding.
so were you here this morning?
She literally came in.
I literally flew in at
just
9:30
now.
this morning.
Oh,
Yeah.
30
this morning.
a.m.
Okay.
She sent me a text at like, what was it, like 9 p.m. yesterday at the airport.
Yeah.
Dear God.
I
was like, you're coming in at
And
8
then
a.m.
She was
with
up
that.
all night.
I'm like, I'm heading your way.
She's like, Drew, I sleep on planes. I'm like, I don't care. There's just too much time, way too much going on to get on 6 different flights. Dedication, Sports Field Management Association, brandly new named. What do you think about that? How do you think that's going to sort of change things? And, I mean, it's a big change, you know, especially when you have George Toma up on the stage with you. Change it from his baby, sports turf, you know.
It's hard to change your tongue, I guess. It rolls off the tongue to say STMA, STMA, and it just like it became a second language. So now you're saying SFMA, which to the average person makes more sense. To say Sports Field Managers Association.
It does. It's more broad.
Very much so.
It covers more fields. It's not, you don't have to explain that turf is not just artificial turf, because
Yeah.
I think the general person thinks that. So I think you get a more broad spectrum audience when you say sports field manager.
I think that was the main. Honestly, I think that was the main purpose behind it. You know, dealing with the fact that this big horse of artificial turf coming in, and now the possibility of it going away pretty soon with all these new necessities for players and all that. Just having the identity of the field versus turf is going to help in a way, but at the same time, like you said, it's hard to change 30 some odd.
They did a good job announcing it, though.
Yeah,
They put.
that was a little.
It was
Wow.
exciting,
Missed it.
honestly.
I like the fancy artwork in the front yard I saw
Whoa,
this afternoon.
yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
who did
looked
that,
good.
but
Sam led the way on that one with Franco, our producer over there. You know, it was a great time. It was a great
That was
opportunity.
solid.
It was
looks
good. I wasn't even covered in
fabulous.
paint at the end.
It was. they were in their Ryland Strong polos.
you're like
and
trying to be as clean as
they
you've
were like,
ever
exactly.
been
Don't
with paint ever in
touch
your whole
my
life.
khakis. I just bought these for the
Yeah.
SFMA. We cannot.
Target will not return these now if I get paint on them.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. It was definitely something that the kids were really excited about. It was a great opportunity. So thank you for noticing that.
I think it looks fantastic, and so many people have complimented it.
I like that it's an
and
actual logo now.
That was the
Yes.
big thing that I liked about it.
People
was-
complimented, people noticed, and people noticed that your kids did it, which is probably the biggest impact.
which is exciting for us, obviously.
And I don't know if it was planned or not, but to do it at lunchtime where everyone saw.
We were supposed to do it on Monday, actually, and it kind of just switched over last minute.
I think it's cooler that you did it at lunchtime, because I thought you were going to do it Monday night, and then everyone comes to the convention on Tuesday morning, and it's in the yard.
I was thinking my kids would be a little nervous about it. You know, they'd be like, we need to not mess up right now. And it was funny. Like 5 of them, they were like, hey, can we mow the lawn before we do this? Because it was so shaggy. And I was like, you know, I agree with you, but I don't think
My
there's a mower
assistant
around.
mentioned that when we walked up to this reception, was like, you think that the hotels would have mowed all the lawns knowing that all these sports field managers were
A
coming?
grass conference.
Not in Savannah.
No cares.
Why would Savannah do that? We've got our man Josh Jans over here. Fantastic working with you.
We have Toro mowers in the convention center right now. We could get this
It's not
done.
their fault. I mean, why would you
We could
blame
get
that?
this
Why are you calling
done,
out Toro?
Toro.
What about John Deere? What, John Deere didn't do it. Who else?
No,
Who else is a mower?
No, I just say I'm preferring to use Toro.
Everyone prefers to use Toro, obviously, on this podcast. Okay, let me turn this real quick so you can see. Yup. We should probably turn you that way so it is a little bit more recognizable.
Oh,
There's a Toro tag right here.
got to.
Yeah, you know.
Look at that logo placement, advertising,
Hey.
hashtag sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored, but it's okay.
Yet.
With everything, obviously we've had you on before, and it's been great, and we've gotten to know each other really well after OTF. What were you looking forward to, again, being so dedicated to coming to the conference and everything?
After having the year of not seeing people.
That is true.
Like, the hard part about our industry is everyone's so busy and everyone is so dedicated to their work. Like, this isn't just like an in-season job. This is a year-round job, as much as some people don't think it is. But you don't get to see people and you don't get to travel as much as you wish to see all of your friends in the industry and talk shop and do all the things. Because when you come here, you don't have to dumb stuff down for people. Like, you're talking the same language. We're all what's the word?
Frequently?
Not frequently.
Fluently.
I knew it started with an F.
Come on, Leah.
Fluently speaking turf. Like, we're all fluently speaking the same language, and there's no...
It's finally nice to have someone
Yeah,
who's
there's no,
I
like,
get
having
you.
to dumb it down for, like, the average person, which is so nice.
Although, there was a lot of scientific presentations today that I was even like, okay, I remember this in class, but it's... I'm like, okay.
All right, I need a refresher.
Yo, did you go to Evans, Moscati's, Penn State?
Was that this morning when I was on a plane?
No, it was this afternoon.
Oh. When I was
Of course I didn't put it on the plane. I was in the morning on the plane. I was very disappointed you weren't there, by the way.
Okay, I was on a plane.
That's not okay.
I'll be
There
there tomorrow
wasn't
morning.
one last
It's
year,
fine.
right?
It's fine.
There was no conference last year.
No, we were actually on a virtual one.
We did a
But it was a
virtual
virtual
presentation.
conference.
Yes.
Which was not the same. That's
No.
why this year is
That's where
like
it's
was
at.
like real big priority to like get back to get to
Get to
see
see
people,
people.
to get to network again, to see people who've got promoted or changed jobs or moved different stadiums, and to talk with them about it, because you don't necessarily, as much as we should, reach out. We have the technology to text people, but we don't. And
Very
this is
true.
our chance to be like, oh, how are you doing? How's
Yeah.
the field? How's the renovation? And
Absolutely.
do all that fun stuff.
And you obviously just had a huge renovation that
Yes.
everyone wants to know about.
Yes.
And we've actually talked about during the renovation, which was awesome. Again, I can't thank enough for that.
Yes. That was wild. That
How was your
almost a year
first
ago.
season, you know, with the field? Obviously, the first year is always difficult when it comes to, again, establishing a freshly laid field, making sure you have that. Obviously, no soccer, which is great, but what was it for you getting the field ready? Obviously, products are very important, especially Toro products, obviously, since we're here. What kind of things have you been doing culturally speaking and sort of just ensuring the field's ready to go?
This year, I've only ever dealt with mature fields, so it was a lot of making sure your soil had all the nutrients it needed for new grass, because you're dealing with brand new sand that has absolutely no nutrients in it. So you're baby feeding it every day. It's like nursing a little baby. Like, you just have to make sure it's got the nutrients, and then as soon as it does, it's sprouting up like crazy. And we had weird but good weather this summer where we were like, it felt like we were baling hay every time we were mowing.
Yeah.
Like, when we had all those wildfires, the smoke cover stopped all of our hot spots and like the burnout, and the
Yeah.
grass just loved the extra carbon in the air. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
And we were like baling hay when we were mowing, and I was dropping buckets like full,
Welcome to Brentsville Turf. We do it all the time.
full
Yep.
hashtag workman, Toro Workman carts.
Hashtag Toro, everything necessary.
We were filling.
You can rely on them because, again, it just runs forever, thank God. Otherwise, we'd be screwed at Brentsville. So
filling 2 carts with our I mean, it was insane. And it was a weirder cultural practice here, because you're not doing as much. You don't need to top dress as much. You don't need to aerate as much. It's a brand new field. It's not as compacted. You still have to do it, but you're not doing it as aggressively, and you have to be very gentle with it, especially with bluegrass. It's not Bermuda. It's not going to want to be tortured every day. Bluegrass is a
Absolutely.
little sensitive.
just a little bit.
Like me, a little
Just a
sensitive on the
smidge.
inside.
Just a little bit. Now, you just purchased a new Toro mower. That is
Yes.
going to get here soon.
Yes.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Something that we share a love for are mowing patterns.
Yes.
You do some crazy ass mowing
Well,
patterns.
I
Let me
keep
tell
seeing
you
your
right now.
phone screen pop up, and it's like, that's weird. You must be a field manager.
No.
Also, home screen.
Oh,
That's
wait
my
for
grass.
it, wait for
Have
it.
to.
Boom.
Yep, you're dirt. I'm grass.
Yeah, I got grass in mine.
Clay.
Somewhat. A little bit.
But yes, my mowing
So
patterns.
Sam wanted to do one of your incredible patterns right here. The one over here.
Yes.
Which one was it?
Was that the flannel?
The double flannel.
Oh,
Fall
yeah.
flannel?
Fall
We did
Leo
that,
throw.
yeah, all week, and it looked
Signature.
great. And actually, it was one of my favorite ones this year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He rolled it about 10 times to make sure.
Yeah. Every day I'm like, Miller, I'm gonna go roll this morning.
So Franco, our producer over here, we had an old, Toro D1000. It's one of like the 1990s, the old.
It's an old one.
It's actually the mower that mowed the field for T.C. Williams when Remember the Titans was going on. And T.C. Williams called us and they said, hey, we have a mower. It's in pretty good shape. It's been in a shop for 15 years. You want to come check it out because of our program and everything. So we went over, we grabbed it, a couple of different parts. Franco's replaced the battery probably 3 times, but it runs, and it's a great machine.
It starts every time.
Wow.
That's Toro. Yes, it does. Every time.
It has a nickname.
What's the nickname?
Rusty Dusty.
Rusty Dusty.
We were talking about naming equipment earlier.
Yeah, we were. Her what is it? Oh, we can't talk about it because it's not.
Well, my
the
Sam
Field Pro, okay?
My Sam
the Field Pro is
Sandy.
amazing. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sandy. We talked about our
The air
core.
fryer is Corey.
Corey, yep.
Yep.
I got you on that
That's
one.
clever.
I got you on that one.
Drew thought of that one. I was going with Ari for like air fryer.
Yep.
He went with Corey for core, so I was like, that's better. You win.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm creative.
You're like,
whatever.
yeah, I did that.
But again, with the mowing patterns, where do you sort of draw your sort of, again, creativity? I mean, there's like so many different things you do, and with Toro products, you're able to do all these crazy things with those mowers. And with the new mower, are you getting a bigger one, or are you having the same size so you can still do those intricate patterns?
It's the same one. It's just a decade older. So most of our equipment was the original from when the stadium was opened in 2009. So the mower and the sprayer and the Sam Pro are the original 2009 stuff. Still running, still fantastic. I would just like the upgraded version because I know the technology has significantly increased since 2009.
So we were talking to I forget, Dan did, what was it? I said his name wrong.
He
but
probably wasn't even born in 2009.
What? How old do you think I am?
He's offended. He was born in like 2001.
You were born in, yeah. Oh.
2003. My
Yeah.
bad, you
Gosh.
child. The technology is getting further and further along. We talked to Noah Wall earlier about the new UTX coming out. I mean, he has all these different
thing's cool.
things where they can monitor speed. So, like, if they're taking out on campuses and whatnot, they know, okay, he didn't go faster than this. They didn't go faster than this. We kept everyone safe. If people come after us for liability, it doesn't do anything like that.
Wow.
So
when you accelerate, it won't tear.
What are some of the new technology you think you would want to add to maybe your arsenal when it comes to your field equipment?
I think I mow pretty good lasers.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
it's
lie.
the laser
Like,
show.
I'm just
We'll give it to
I'm
you.
not gonna say
We'll give it to you.
I'm like really good at that, but like I'm kind of good at it. And,
I mean,
but
hold on,
I think
Yeah.
in the pictures you don't see as many crooked lines as you see
There
in real
are.
life. But I think
Because it's all about the angle.
the
And we're all lying to you because they're not straight.
we are lying to you. So I'm hoping the new mower gives me a little bit more stability. I can cruise a little bit more straight and not
Maybe steering's a little tighter.
white knuckle it the whole time and try to be as precise as possible. Also, I'm hoping to get a new sprayer in the near future, and I've seen the new technology on that thing, and it's insane.
Yeah, GPS spray rigs have become such a big part of...
Just the accuracy, just knowing, like, there's nothing worse than when you spray stuff is not guessing, but, like, hoping that you got the coverage you wanted, and then knowing is two very different things. Holy
You okay there?
moly.
Oh, my gosh.
I
what
told
are
you
you
I've been
doing?
up for 24 hours.
That's not an excuse, Leah. You know that.
I'm off.
You don't need
You're
sleep.
doing great.
Sleep is
Overrated.
overrated.
That's what everyone says, and then you just don't sleep for 24 hours, and you're like, yeah, no,
I've
it's
also
not.
had a significant amount of espresso shots today. So
Unhealthy amount.
unhealthy amount. Like I need an constant IV drip
Yep.
of just espresso to my veins right now.
Really? That bad?
I mean, I've had 2, 4, 6, 8.
So I
in
have a question.
8-hour period. That's probably not super healthy. Don't tell my doctor.
You know he watches Tiger Turf Talk. You know that, right?
Also, all sports turf managers,
They know the pain.
drink an unhealthy amount of caffeine, so like I'm not alone.
What's
Yeah.
your question there, Sam?
Okay, well, I know your case. You're a sports turf manager. How does your home lawn look? Yep.
I live in an apartment.
we fixed
so I don't
that,
have
okay?
one.
We fixed the home
Your
lawn.
front's good.
Yeah, I don't.
Actually,
we're not
no,
talking about
you
the back.
renovated the back. Well,
No, we're not
Oh.
talking about the back. The dog peed out there. Nope, not talking about it.
I don't-
Apartment, do you have a desk lawn from the lawn tools? I mean,
I don't.
Oh, Jordan would be so sad. Jordan, I
desk
know you're going to
lawn.
watch this, and I know you're going to be upset about not having a desk lawn. Very sad, very sad. I did want to talk about sort of, I've lost my train of thought. I can't even talk. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's contagious.
Oh my gosh.
well,
I'm not even that tired.
She's got an excuse.
He's the only functional one. I think he should just run this whole thing. I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, we're going to go jump off the boat.
So, Toro.
I'm a strong swimmer. I think it'd be all right.
I'd probably float down the river a little bit.
It's a little chilly though. I don't know.
Just a little bit. Hey, you're pulling a Franca, by the way. You're turning around this
Be a little Titanic action. We're all going
Ooh,
down.
Titanic.
Don't know.
No.
Don't
Look
bring
at
up.
that.
Look at what?
Oh, have
Oh,
you
we
seen
got
the
the big
shipping
barge.
container barge come by?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
saw that one?
We
that
were
was
on the
huge.
we were on the boat on the what the hell? It was a ferry.
Ferry
Pardon
ride.
my French.
I think it's my mower's on in one of those shipping
The
containers
pieces
on its
to the
way.
mower is there.
Probably
My mower
it's
is in
stuck
one
on
of
a
those,
boat
right?
somewhere.
It's on its way. He doesn't know. That's not helpful.
Oh gosh, good times, good times. With everything, we sort of started talking about technologies. Is there any like specific Toro technology that you've seen, maybe recently in the new Expo, that you'd want to add?
Well, I have seen pictures and heard rumors. I don't know if it's true or not.
It's pretty true.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. It's
I
like
was
Santa
standing
Claus.
right next
It's
to
like
it.
Santa Claus. I haven't seen it. I don't know if I believe it, but there's rumors
Oh, it's cool.
that there is.
Well, there's two
the
new ones,
Toro
right?
There's
version.
many new ones.
Toro. What is it? Toro. What's the official?
Field
The Field
Pro.
Pro.
Field Pro.
Because it's the Sand Pro and the
60,
Field Pro.
60/40. Yeah, that's right.
And then the new cart,
Complete with laser grader abilities.
That's an attachment you have to
all,
purchase.
all the different attachments, teeth.
Thank you,
blades.
sir. We appreciate that.
Okay.
You have. Don't do that. They're gonna do more of it. What does that even say?
York. York.
I'm not going to try.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. All right, that is definitely going in the podcast. There are hotels over there trying to sleep, right? I was just.
Morning Prosperity. That's the boat's name.
That's your mower's name now. Remember
Morning
that.
Prosperity.
Remember that.
Ask my assistant. He will say that you cannot talk to me until I'm done mowing.
Oh, yeah?
The first thing I do, I come in the morning, I make sure all my emails are figured out, I pour my cup of coffee in my little Yeti, and I hop on the mower. And do not talk to me until I'm done with my 2-hour ride.
She doesn't do people. It's like.
I'm just not a morning person. Like, I don't know how people wake up at 9 a.m. and they're like, oh, hey, how are you? And
That's
I'm like,
not even early.
don't talk to me.
I'm gonna send you a bunch of snaps now. I hope you know that.
Don't.
Because I'm pretty sure I wake up before you.
This is why I'm
way
not a
earlier.
golf course superintendent. Because if I had to wake up and mow at 4 a.m.,
Sounds like Ethan.
I
Yeah,
would be
not a morning person.
Ethan would not do well.
Oh, I would be the worst to work with. So, anytime after 11, after I'm done mowing, I've listened to my podcast or my music, I've had my coffee, I've enjoyed the world and the scenery around me, mowed some lasers, then I'm ready to go.
I think I'd put mowing in front of the emails.
Very much
Yeah.
so.
Most days, yes. Some days, I don't have that option. But I try.
So I want to get into your obsession with your calendars because you got about 17 of them, and I know that you have marked on there your arrival for the Toro mower. So what is it with calendars, and how important are they to you for being successcill?
I don't know if this is a girl thing. I think this is mostly a girl thing.
I use calendars.
Being
Okay.
organized in general.
Yes. Everything, not only do I have 3 calendars. I have the big whiteboard calendar in my office. I have my desk calendar that's month to month. And then I have a planner that's for my life and work. And everything is color-coded. And it's all color-coded the exact same. So
It's more than color-coded. Are you kidding me?
and there's stickers, and there's magnets, and there's a bunch of other stuff. But, like, as long as it makes sense to me, that's all that matters,
It doesn't make
right?
sense to anyone.
No, all the color codes are the same. So, like, if I use purple for special events on the whiteboard, then I use purple for special events on the desk calendar, and I use purple for special events in the planner.
That's just a lot of work.
She literally has 5 calendars. Like, I've seen it.
I did a whole presentation on it with multiple sticky notes, tabs.
Although I do like that part.
Highlighters.
The sticky notes, being able to move them and removing instead of having to write it all out.
I hate whiteout. I don't know what it is. My OCD can't handle it. My OCD cannot handle whiteout and like having a mess on my calendar. So like I like using the sticky notes because you can up and move as your schedule changes, and then you don't have a mess, and my OCD doesn't cry.
Your OCD doesn't cry. Leah, come on.
I don't cry.
Okay, that's good. You know, always good. Anything exciting in the new year? What can we get for the viewers? What's going on in Reno?
We have a couple mowing patterns for one.
Oh,
okay.
I'm gonna need a sneak peek. We won't put it out. We just want to see what's going on.
Classified information.
I'm in the class of the fied. Okay.
We'll see. We're working on it.
She's gonna send them.
Yeah, just send them before.
We have one that is, if it works, it's gonna work amazing, and if it doesn't, it's gonna look tough. So
I'm trying to think what can be amazing.
It's
tough.
all or nothing with one.
Draw a whole picture.
We have a 2.0 version of one we've already done.
Okay.
Coming.
Is it plaid?
We also always do fall flannel. That one's a staple. You can't not do fall flannel in September.
That's an annual tradition.
Yes.
I think we're gonna have to get a Toro shirt for that.
I
fall
mean,
flannel.
I'll have my new mower by then. I'm gonna fall flannel with the new mower. I mean, that feels right?
Oh yeah, big time.
Breaking in the new mower with the fall flannel.
Absolutely.
Name something better. Can't. That's what I
Brentsville
thought.
Turf. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fair.
Got you there. Absolutely.
Question. What does one?
Oh, for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this.
What does one name said new mower?
What is the thing that just went by?
We're not naming it
That's
a boat.
a terrible name.
We can't name it a ship.
All right.
Morning prosperity.
We're gonna go to the professional Toro man himself, Josh
The 3100D.
Regular. What are you thinking, name-wise?
Yes, they're all
Corey's
ladies.
male, somewhat.
No, all my equipment are ladies, strong ladies.
My bad. I forgot.
Strong,
I can't open the
independent
door
women.
without being in trouble. It's true. You can't get mad at me.
Okay, he was trying to be a gentleman one time, and I didn't let him, and now he's salty.
First of all, no, I still was the gentleman. You lost that. Okay.
Okay, because physically, that battle was meant to be lost by me.
Because you yanked on the door that was locked? Yeah, it was meant for you to lose.
Okay, I was trying to be a gentleman. I opened all the doors. I opened the door for multiple other men that went through it.
Just
and
not
then
me.
this guy.
You were
Just
trying
not
to be the
me.
gentleman.
This guy comes up. He's like, I'm not walking through the door. And I was like, you better walk through the door. He's like, I'm not walking through the door. And like, we sat outside while it's snowing in Columbus and fought over this door.
Guess what, Sam?
You won.
I won.
That's right.
It was an unfair battle.
It was a very easily won battle. We'll just say that.
Okay.
Other than Mowing Patterns, what do you got going on for this year?
Ooh, a couple events in the works, TBD.
That's
for
never good, but
special events guys. Thankfully, we've moved over from like 10 or 12 little events to like 3 or 4 big events, which I would rather do.
That's definitely better.
So, and they're more. It's more fun to attend a big concert than it is 3 weddings, a couple of corporate batting practices.
You have weddings at your field?
Oh yeah.
Reno's a special place, ladies and gentlemen.
You can
That
get
much.
married
It's a
by
special
Elvis
place.
downtown, or you can get married at the ballpark. You choose.
Leah Withrow. She is a certified clergyman.
I could.
Probably.
I could go online
You
and
would
get
be one of the
ordained.
people that would be like, I'm going to make some more money on top of doing all the work for
Imagine
this.
being like trying to sell this wedding to this couple and being like, our groundskeeper's ordained if you want her to do it. What?
They'd probably be like, no, I'm good.
Probably.
You know, but
Just holding a rake while I'm like having them repeat their vows.
I don't think they'd go for that at all.
Oh, come on. What's more baseball park than a groundskeeper holding a rake?
MLB player holding the bat.
Okay, well, this is off season, so
I remember the new logo or whatever. It says where the game begins.
Yeah, begins
On
with
the
me.
field.
It's where your marriage begins with me. Come get married at Greater Nevada Field.
Oh dear Lord.
My special events guys gotta be loving this. I'm such a good promoter.
I mean, I'm sure you got
You
3
get a bunch
extra
of
weddings for
booked,
this.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, well, we heard on this podcast, you're groundskeeper.
We're trying to move away from little events, doing big events, possibly Nitro Circus again. We got another possible concert, stuff like that.
What
but
concert
also,
is it? That's the question.
TBD.
Is it big?
I don't know.
That stinks.
Yes.
Nitro Circus
You know,
is cool.
groundskeepers are always the last to know.
It's a sad, true statement of the world of sports turf.
Yeah.
Sports field management, sorry. I didn't mean to say sports turf.
No more turf.
No more turf.
It's a sad day for the sports turf.
But a happy day for the sports fields.
What? Oh, of course, yeah. Of course. Well, I want to say thank you for everything you've done for us all the way back to Ryland, and it's been great to become a really good friend of yours with everything.
I mean, I told my assistant, I'm not kidding. I went to have dinner with my old boss and the St. Paul Saints groundskeeper and my assistant and I, and we saw the ferry go by, and I was like, I have to get on that ferry. I have to get to this podcast, and I'm running. I'm in heels. I'm in 2-inch heels, running across cobblestone.
That is hard. I will say that.
To get on this ferry to get to this podcast.
I'm not in heels, and they were tripping me.
We appreciate
because
everything you do.
I've told many people, I'm like, Drew is the nicest human being I've ever met in my life.
Aww.
I'm not kidding. Like, the most genuine human being I've ever met who
Well, thank
cares
you.
so deeply about this industry and cares so much about what we do that he went to, like, the root of the source, like getting high school kids. Not only like 1 or 2 high school kids.
Yeah.
More than 100 high school kids now in your program, which is insane, that are doing everything that any groundskeeper wish they could have done in high school. If I had that option in high school,
I'm not tearing up. You're
do you
tearing
know
up.
how
Oh, God.
far ahead you are of everybody else right now and how successful all your kids are going to be if they so choose to be in this industry? Like, it's insane the amount of talent you're about to influx this industry with. And anytime you ask me to do anything, the answer is going to be yes. He texted me. He's like, remember the podcast? He had
First of
mentioned
all,
this.
we had talked about
Okay.
it. Before we get into
no,
this,
no,
it was mentioned and discussed. I remember because I talked to Josh, and I said, Josh, I talked to Leah. She just bought a Toro mower. Would that be a good idea to have her on? And I literally, the moment after that, snapped you about it. Just because you didn't save it, it's not my fault.
Okay, it's a snap. It only lasts 10
Yeah, it
seconds.
didn't make it
You
onto your
said
calendar.
yes, okay?
Okay, no,
You
I
said
thought,
yes.
time out.
Time me out.
There's 2 sides to every story. My side was,
She's going to win this one.
he was like, I'm going to do a podcast with the Toro Company. I was like, no way. You've been wanting to link up with them for forever. And you're like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. There was no, like, specific, I want you to be on said podcast
Yes, there was.
at this time
That
on
is not
this
true.
boat.
I will let her win this one, but I definitely said, I mentioned that you bought a new Toro mower, and I did mention how long it's supposed to take to get there.
Okay,
But we're not going to mention it on here.
Anyway, we had this debate, and even though we were inconclusive on the evidence of what the invitation. Inconclusive on the evidence
I don't
of
think
the
you
invitation.
can draw a winner here.
But he
We'll
was
let
like,
Leah win this one.
I'm so sorry. I thought I told you. I'm so sorry. There's just so much happening right now.
She
I was
said
like,
she's going to fly to Virginia and smack me in the head.
I was
for
like, if
saying
you
sorry.
apologize to me one more time, I'm going to fly to Virginia and punch you in the face because.
Oh, not even smack. Forgot about that.
I punch everybody in the face. That's my big threat that I never follow through on. It's okay. But if you ask me to do anything, the answer is always yes. You
Well,
don't
I
have to
appreciate
ever
you.
apologize for asking me to do something because what you're doing means more than you know to all of us professional turf managers, and your kids are phenomenal.
Well, I
After
appreciate
speaking
that.
to them on that podcast a year ago,
That's the crazy part is
year
we're getting to
ago,
that point where it's like now COVID's 2 years ago, and it's like,
seeing them go back to hybrid, kind of, sort of, being in class, working on the field, going through an entire football season, seeing what you guys put out, seeing all of the moves you've made in the short amount of time you've made them. How long have you been at Brentsville?
This is my 5th
4
year teaching.
full.
That's crazy. Like, that's not enough time to have the amount of students and success that you've had.
A lot of growth.
Yeah, let me tell you, because it was funny. I was talking to my boss, and I was like, I did not really expect it to be this fast. Like, literally, like, it has been my 10-year plan to do what we've done, and now we're like, again.
I'm in awe. Every time I talk about you, I'm like, I don't know how he's 27 and already to this point. Like, it's
Thank you.
insane.
I still feel young. Not really.
I don't know. Was I not supposed to mention a man's age? I'm sorry.
No, it's
He's not
fine.
27.
That's still
I care
young.
less. I care less.
27's young.
He's 37.
No, I know that because I made a
feel so
mistake
much
on
better.
that once.
So much better about that. Thank you very much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. Dear God, thank you. I feel
Yeah,
old now.
I know. I gave you so many compliments. I had to humble you back.
Oh,
back down.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel humbled. I
Good.
appreciate
Just
that.
checking.
I
Just
do
checking.
appreciate
Ego
that.
check. We're all good.
So how many people told you they follow you on Twitter today? I've got about 16 people I can ask.
Yeah, a lot.
By the
of
way,
people.
that's Julie over there, the one I need to introduce you to, the one who spent
Great.
the summer at the Steelers.
Yeah, most people have
excited
told
to
me
talk to
they either follow me on Twitter and or like my TikToks, and I was like, they.
You were like, Drew can't be here when you say this.
I don't know what the proper response to that is as like an introduction. Be like, I follow you on Twitter. I'm like, I don't follow you. Like,
Great!
I don't know what
Fantastic.
to say. What does one say to that? So I just say thank you and
Walk away.
keep following. I
Like,
don't
yeah.
post anything grand, but if you
Hey, everybody
like,
loves your TikToks because they don't have to go on TikTok.
if you like grass and you like seeing cool mowing patterns, hashtag follow me.
Hashtag
You have a rough
follow.
night the other. You're gonna do that. Definitely go follow her. She's on TikTok as what?
Oh shoot, I don't even know my TikTok.
Leah Lou or something?
I'm Leah Lou on everything.
Leah Lou on everything, people. Look it up.
Leah Lou too, at least on everything. I don't know.
Good.
Because there's another Leah Lou, but I'm the second.
No.
I feel
no
like
way.
I feel like though that's like the second is always the more important one.
Yeah.
You know, like
Oh, I'll give you that. I'm the middle child.
Queen
so.
Elizabeth II or whatever it
Second's
is.
most important.
Well, I'm not the second. The girl's the second, and she's daddy's little
You're
angel.
one of the
only
middle?
girl. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
the
yes.
middle.
Oh,
You got the baby and the
Never mind then.
adult. And
I
then
thought
That
there were
explains
less.
a lot. You're a middle child, huh?
Alex.
Wow, Leah, what was that for? I think I do okay as a middle child. Is that like my sorry syndrome or something?
No. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. It's you like overcompensating for everything.
First of all, that's not
Worrying
true.
about everybody
First of all,
else.
I just want everybody to know I'm not overcompensating for anything.
Over
okay?
apologizing.
My truck is not
Over-apologizing.
lifted 10 feet in the air.
Oh, yeah, compensate.
We drove past one the other day. It was like a work truck, 10 inches.
It's hauling a trailer, and
Yeah.
it's like feet off the ground.
It's
It's
just
gotta be
stupid.
pointless.
I would definitely need a step stool for that one.
Yes.
Like
I don't know how he got in it.
Yeah, a ladder, probably.
Yeah.
Well,
Big
I want
leg
to say
guy.
thank you so She said it. I'm sorry. They've been doing it the whole trip. It's like big train guy.
He's
so
a
one
big
of our
train guy.
Big train. So everything's now like
Oh,
we're
I'm
like
a big
we're
a-
big Toro people, guys. Okay, big Toro.
Big Toro
that's
guy.
what I'm a big whatever guy.
Sports field manager guy.
Big Sports Field Managers Association guy.
Yep,
Big
management.
Brentsfield Turf guy.
My dog.
Big podcast guy, apparently.
Yeah.
Big Toro guy for sure.
Of course.
Oh,
Red
he's
Kingdom
a big,
up in my
he's a
shop.
big Toro
Red
guy.
Kingdom. Who did? I think I saw that. Somebody did a post. I think it was the golf side, but they like played the song and then
Yeah.
like drove out on all their Toro equipment.
I need to do that,
Welcome
except I
to
don't
the
have enough.
Red-
Yeah, I don't have
We
enough
have
staff
plenty
to
of
drive
that.
everything.
We
You
got
need
it.
to
We got plenty.
field trip to Reno, and you guys just drive all my stuff out, and we just make TikToks for a week.
Yeah,
straight.
we'll just drive them all around.
Is it safe in Reno to do that?
On my field, yeah.
On the field, okay, we're good. We're good. We'll put in some
Everything's got
crazy
turf tires.
laser
Those
patterns.
Toro turf tires. Solid.
Soft on the
Soft,
turf, always good.
Always good.
We don't have that. We don't have the luxury.
Most of our stuff's got turf tires.
No.
Not fancy
this
Toro.
This is no.
So that new cart, you can't accelerate fast enough for it to tear the grass.
That was one of the he
That's
was
a
freaking
fancy
out about
feature.
earlier. By the way,
Oh.
the fact that you have to like when you're in turf mode, not go fast right away.
That's
not
a
tear
thing?
The grass up. Oh yeah, that's the technology that they explained
Toro
earlier.
thinks of freaking everything.
I don't know how. It's just crazy to me, you know. But it's amazing the technology and everything that I'm moving towards and working with. It's great. So.
I love it. Big fan. Big Toro guy.
Well, I want to get you out of the cold here, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time, as always, and we hope you enjoy the rest of Sports Field Management Association Conference.
Thank you.
That's a mouthful. Jeez.
Shout out to
We'll
the
see you-
Savannah paddle boat.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to say that. They hooked
us
us up, for sure. It's
This
a little
is
cold,
cool.
but they hooked it up, and this is probably the coolest thing we've ever done with this podcast. So
Easily.
we're excited. We got Savannah behind us. We're hoping
Savannah's
to
a
get
dope town. Big Savannah guy.
Big Savannah guy.
We're trying to get a few more people on here tonight before we head out, but
sure.
we're really excited to keep going, and thank you again, Leah. You're the
Thank you.
best,
Thank you.
as always. You want to go ahead? This podcast is presented by the Toro Company. For over 100 years, Toro has been providing grounds managers innovative solutions for all their outdoor maintenance needs, including sports fields, snow and ice management, specialty construction equipment, and irrigation solutions. For more information on how Toro can assist with any of your outdoor maintenance needs, visit Toro.com or contact your local Toro distributor. Toro. Count on it. All right, so we are now moving on this boat. What is it, the place that we need to shout out? Because they gave
Savannah
us
Riverboat Tours
Savannah
or
Riverboat
Riverboats.
Tour. We got Mr. Steve Ruckman of Henrico County Parks and Rec, a good friend of the Tech Turf family and everything. I know you work with a good friend of mine, Cody, with the flying squirrels and everything, and they're still there somehow. I mean, I remember when you guys were there, they were talking about, we need a new stadium, we're going to move, and it's still there, still standing. Yep.
I was hired on there in 2009, and I was guaranteed a stadium by 2013, and here we are in 2022, and they still don't have a stadium.
Solid. That's good numbers,
Yes.
Very
Yes.
good numbers.
Yes.
You think they would maybe try and get it right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it took you from there. There were, and I'm sorry, I'll cut this out if I need. There was rumblings you were thinking about going to DC United.
Yep, there were. Yep.
And Cody and all his glory was talking about that for a while, and working with Game Day Incorporated, and then the move to Henrico was right after that, correct? Was there anything in between there? Or?
Nope. I went from squirrels to interviewing with Game Day, and then that didn't really turn out because I had a child, and
was gonna
the
say,
whole moving thing,
the
with a brand new
whole
child,
idea
it just didn't really work out.
Absolutely, and families first, and that's awesome that you made that decision because it's a big opportunity,
Yeah, it
very
was.
big.
It was.
And I think that's incredible that you again were able to make that decision. With everything, Parks and Rec is such a big part of what sports field managers are and everything. And what has it been like for you going from a minor league standpoint to, again, more land, more fields, obviously a lot more to do, and sort of moving towards that? What has it been like for you, and how have you been able to sort of get used to, obviously it's been time now, but making that switch to that?
It was a culture shock,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, I worked in minor league baseball for 15 years, and so I'm used to that grind. I'm used to being the guy that goes out there and actually does the work, out there mowing every day on the field, back in the mound of the plate, in the bullpens, to driving in a truck, telling somebody else to do it. So,
although it's a little bit nice,
it's been great, but definitely that first really year and a half, it was a struggle to really jump into the position and really understand it, and going from 2 acres to over 140 acres of irrigated turf, and then an extra 500 that's non-irrigated.
That's quite a jump.
It's a little jump.
Yep.
In managing 2 people to 45 plus, another 15 seasonals, having a staff of 60 versus 2 is also a little nerve-wracking.
Just a little bit different, Always looking to expand. Didn't expect that much,
It's a big crew.
You just you always ask for one more person at the minor league field. You're like, I need one more guy. Oh well, I'll give you 65 for Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
But how has it been, again, managing so many people? We were talking about Cody Tingler, obviously, a good friend of mine, and he's an idiot, but I love him to death. And I'm sure you have a pretty similar relationship to him. Yep. What has it been like for you, again, managing all those people? There's so many different things that go into being a leader and everything, especially when it comes to making sure that there's a product being put out by your guys. What has that been like for you?
It was tough at the beginning because there's so many different personalities that you have to understand, and you have to find each individual person's drive and what they want to do. And so that was the biggest challenge of actually meeting them, getting to know them, and learning what makes them tick, and then applying that to their job. Like, okay, what are you passionate about? Okay, well, let's use that and try to focus it this way so we can get this field up and going, so we can make it nicer, for the kids. Because we're still, when I was at the Squirrels, Parney's biggest thing was we're in the memory making business, which we were.
I love that.
And now I'm still in the memory making business, but now the kids are actually on the field.
So that's what's I think is the most incredible part of Parks and Rec is the fact the work that you do is so much more than, again, just a field. When you have Little League kids on your field, you have small soccer fields and everything, and you're talking about these kids having their first moments on a sports field. That's what it's all about. We actually, for our the general session, I don't know if you saw it. Hopefully I wasn't god awful, but it's good if you didn't see it. That means you can't can't have a opinion on it. But we were talking about it, and with everything, turf managers are field managers. I gotta make that transition. It's a big one. Field managers are all about creating memories, and being that person. And Dr. Goatley's the first person that ever told me about it. Again, creating those new and again insane opportunities. You're talking about kids like bottom of the seventh, championship game, runner on third, little dink hit, base hit. You guys are the ones that provide the field and provide again the possibility. So it's incredible what you
reach
do.
a lot of kids,
and that's the big thing, and that's what's incredible about everything that you do. How has it been for, again, we are doing this with Toro. What has it been about being all Toro that's, again, been such a big impact on being able to provide those fields and create those memories?
They've been instrumental because we are 100% Toro. They provide a great product. The local rep that we have is fantastic. They're very responsive. Any question that we have, if they don't know it, they're calling corporate and they're going to find out for us.
Absolutely. STI, right?
Yep.
Who's your guy down there?
Chip Bass.
Oh, great guy. I met him when I was in college, I think. There were some times where I was like questioning. I was like, is this right? I would say, because it was like my first year up in Northern Virginia. Shane Sullivan, shout out, awesome guy, great Toro rep. But I was like, I just need a little bit of help, make sure I'm doing things right, because I don't know what the price of this stuff is. Right. He had reached out to me my senior year of college, and I was like, okay, thanks, I appreciate that. What kind of equipment are you running? And have you seen the Field Pro yet?
No, actually, somebody just told me about it, and I'm kind of interested in it.
It's cool.
We do have a few of those
peek.
Competitors, so I'm actually interested to see what it does.
We actually interviewed some of their product managers, and they allowed us to interview, again, the guy who was doing it was talking about how incredible it is to have such a great impact in it, and here she is right there in all of her glory. Yeah. So they have a laser level on the front. They have this implement that, again, is pretty much everything you have on a Sand Pro from them, but then the backside you can put any implement that you create on the back.
It's the same hookup as the Sand Pro.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the quick attach.
Yeah, the quick attach and everything, and with everything out front, obviously a big thing, and I want to talk to you about this because, again, it's such a big part of, I think, what is coming around for Parks and Rec is laser grading, doing it on site and having the equipment. Are you guys doing that, and how has that become such an integral part? Because, again, when you talk about these, again, Parks and Recs, there are a lot of Parks and Recs that don't put money into it and don't put the time and the need. What has it been like for you for sort of creating the safest playing surfaces possible for those young kids?
Yeah, so coming from that 15 years in minor league baseball, safety is like my number one thing. I don't want to put kids out there or adults or whoever is playing out there in jeopardy of twisting an ankle or catching a ball off of a lip or not being able to play because you've got a bathtub on your infield dirt.
Yeah.
So laser grading for us has been fantastic. We do some fields in-house. The bigger projects we'll hire a contractor.
Absolutely.
But we're only a year and a half into owning our own laser grader. Yeah. And so we're still trying to get there. My goal is to have a crew that's all they do.
That's awesome.
They go through and they laser grade dirt.
That's incredible. And I mean, that's been such a big part of what we do in the industry of figuring out, okay, what can I do better, And I think COVID during this time, people figured out how critical it is of people like you, again, with Parks and Rec and having those open spaces and the ability to go outside during COVID and the opportunity to grow.
Yeah, we saw huge numbers go up.
Again, I can't even imagine what it was like for you guys.
It was up 400%.
Yeah, exactly. So I think people are starting to understand the significance of the work and the need for you guys and the professional equipment and all that. What was that like for you during COVID? Obviously, 400% is a big number.
The playgrounds were packed until we closed those. But even at that, people would go out onto the fields and just throw a frisbee, throw a throw a baseball, kick a soccer ball. I mean, it was nice in a sense because we could do some things that we've never been able to do, like sod some areas or aerify, because we've had that downtime. But that was only for a limited time. That was, I think we shut down in April or March and opened back up
March
in mid-June.
We actually worked with Tingler the week before it shut down at DC United. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was like immediate. Yeah. And I don't know how it worked for you guys. What was that like? I mean, you probably had staggered workers, stuff like that. As the boss, what was that like for you,
Yeah. Well, for me, it was tough because I was told I had to work from home, and it's really hard to watch grass grow from home. So
we were actually very lucky. We got approval from the superintendent to be on site to manage the fields. I don't know how, but we got very lucky, and I am very grateful. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're fine. So I got in the truck, and we just all stayed separate. It made it a little difficult on some of the projects to try to keep that 6-foot distance. Wearing the mask outdoors was tough. But we just got through it.
And the Virginia weather.
Yeah. Oof. And, the hot, humid Virginia weather. I mean,
summer, not fun out there. No, it is not.
But we got through it. And it actually helped our fields out because we didn't have the organized play.
Yeah.
So our fields responded better. And they were even better in the fall because they had like 3 or 4 months that didn't have organized play.
Absolutely.
So it worked out for us.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that was the biggest thing with sports field managers. I got it that time, all right. With everything, that gap was a time to sort of restart with turf.
A great regrouping
with grass. Sorry, not
some
turf.
renovations.
Yes, there is.
Being able to were there any big things that you were able to accomplish in that time frame? I think if I'm remembering, I had talked to you. We had tried to do a podcast way back when, but you had done a couple field renovations because again the time frame lined up. I know that we spread our rye out right away after we got the news it was done. We just had to get it out. And we ended up springing it to home a practice field, which is now a putting green in the back of our property. So, with that, what were you able to sort of accomplish during that time?
Just really there were a few necessity projects that we had to do. We have a croquet court, which is
God bless you.
Weird to think of, but we have a croquet court, and it needed some love because it just is on the back burner. It's not as important. Yeah. It's important, but not as important as a tournament softball site. So we went through and regraded and resodded that. We resodded and regraded goal mouse on some soccer fields. So those really, the things that needed to be done actually got done because nobody was playing an organized sport on it.
Absolutely. With everything, obviously, we talked about Toro a little bit. What kind of equipment is needed in order to cover so much ground, and sort of what has it been that you've been hoping to add? Again, we just talked about sort of the Field Pro and whatnot. What are some of the things you've been able to add, and what are some things that you might want to add?
Well, since we have some synthetic turf, we really need a drop spreader. Okay. Because, with synthetic, you still need to add your infill, and we really need to do that. So having a drop spreader would be great. We have broadcast spreaders, but because it's an organic material and you
not as good for that.
Broadcast, it throws it out too far, and it's not as good coverage. So
absolutely.
That's the biggest thing.
That's especially with all the different things you're working with, resources have become pretty either thin or expensive,
yes.
when it comes to everything. How have you sort of adapted to what your needs are and sort of what the expectations are for you?
Yeah. So my needs and wants are very high and demanding.
It's always good.
Because I want what I want.
Yeah, give it to me now.
I'm going to get it one way or another.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing for me is prioritizing what's the most important. We absorbed, so with Henrico County, we used to manage a golf course.
Yeah.
We no longer manage the golf course. It's still our property, but we inherited all their employees. I think there were 7 employees. We inherited them, and then we inherited some of their equipment too. And one of those was a 2001 Multi-Pro.
Oh, very nice.
Which is great because now we have 2 sprayers.
Yeah,
and we can send 2 guys out and
knock it out
it.
rather quickly.
they're only 2 175-gallon tanks, and when you're trying to do 140 acres,
Yeah.
that's a lot of filling up.
We need the big tank,
Yeah,
boss.
we need that 300 gallon.
We need that 300 gallon badly.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
that went into the budget this year, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get that one.
Congratulations. That's
Yes,
awesome. That's
yes.
very nice.
And we're always needing mowers. I mean, we go through mowers because we're mowing so much.
I was going to say the amount of mowing that goes into it. We
Yeah.
talk about our grounds and everything. I mean, they're
Yeah.
covering like, I don't, it's got to be, I think we
beat
measured
ours
it
up.
17
Yeah.
acres of non-sports turf and then about 15 acres sports turf. So it's insane just the amount of time that you're running it. We only have 60-inch decks. We don't have any bat wing or anything like that.
Yeah.
We just saw a really cool one in there today. I forget what it was. So
I don't know
it's
the
like
model.
80-inch zero turn, which and then there's like mirrors and everything on it. We're like,
wow.
wow, okay.
Yeah.
People are starting to think outside the box
Yeah,
here. You know,
yeah.
that's something that I think you guys will be running. But in the future, do you see any sort of shift when it comes to your needs and sort of your expectations of your crew?
Well, the biggest expectation that I have for them is to really up their game. They are really good at taking constructive criticism, but I want them to implement that, and I want them to be better. I want them to want to be better.
Yeah,
I don't want them to be told to be better.
absolutely.
So that's the biggest thing.
That's one of our biggest things when it comes to our program, you know, inspiring our kids and having them be the one to have the passions. I mean, Sam right here has been to, I don't know, 60 fields in the past 4 months working on different fields in our county. And just because, again, he's got a passion and a respect for what sports field managers do. And again, having an impact on our community and little things that we can do to make it better, you know?
Yeah.
So, again, I can't thank you enough for taking the time and just grabbing it out of the party. I want to get you back there. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely.
Again, big Toro guys here.
Big Toro guy.
Thank you so much for everything.
Absolutely.
I'll let you go.
This podcast is presented by the Toro Company. Introducing the all-new Toro Workman UTX, a no-nonsense, four-wheel drive utility vehicle built to stand up to the toughest tests without compromising performance. With standard commercial-grade components, the highest payload in the class, and a proprietary speed control system, it's designed for the rigors of a long work week. For more information on the Workman UTX, visit toro.com/UTX or contact your local Toro distributor. Toro, count on it.
We have Kelly Lynch here with Pure Seed, the Northern America,
Northern U.S.
Northern U.S. There we go.
Yeah.
Regional manager. It's incredible to have you here today. How you doing?
Drew, this is like highlight of my day. I didn't
That's
even know
great.
this was
That's
coming.
great.
This is cool.
We're just grabbing people, you know. We want to see.
I'm here.
Pulling them.
So
Yeah.
how has been your sports field, Mr. Nick
Yeah.
Not
McKenna?
turf, not turf. Sports
El
field.
Presidente.
Love you, Leah. See you later.
Thanks, Leah.
Um,
Appreciate you.
How's your SFMA experience been so far? You know, getting into everything that's new with
It's
the
new.
industry.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
and what I admire about that, and I love that you started with that because it's the Sports Field Management Association,
Yes.
right? And so, and I work with both sides of the industries. So I work
Yep.
in the golf side, I work in the sports turf side, and now it's Sports Field
Yep.
Management Association, right? So we finally got it to the point where we're inclusive.
Absolutely.
It's a broader name.
Well said.
Yep.
And I just had our president explain that to me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And
That's
and
his baby. We're excited to talk about it. You know.
Yeah. And-
We're talking about your baby, SFMA.
SFMA. High five. And then I think we also have this privilege, right? If I may.
Yeah.
So now here we are. It's 2022. Lots
Yes.
happened. We are all together in this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Absolutely.
And isn't it ironic that the very thing we're talking about is sports field management?
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter where, when, how, or why. All those sports fields need to be managed.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a male or a female.
We just had Leah on.
Oh, did you have Leah?
She's one of the best.
She is.
Yeah, she's a good friend of mine.
Is she really?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've gotten pretty close over the last few months.
Yeah.
So we actually went to OTF together and.
Did you?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was at OT.
Were you?
Yeah.
Wow, I
We
didn't
talked about
see you.
breaking the grass ceiling. That
Oh,
was me.
really?
Yeah.
Great. We actually presented on our program with, I don't know, do you know Brian Smith? perchance?
I don't know, Brian. I don't.
So he's another high school program up in Ohio. We actually presented together. So Pam's been working with him a lot, Pam Sherritt. And,
Yeah, I love me some Pam Sherritt.
it's been great and a lot of good time. She's awesome. I love her. Love her to
Life
death.
changer.
She's great. So what has it been like for you? Again, this is the time of seed demand with no seed supply. You
Well
know,
said.
what has
Yeah.
it been like for you and everyone that's calling you saying, "Hey, I need this," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I just don't have it." You know.
I have a lot of new best friends.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
How's that been, and how's everything going with that?
Well, and I think if you look at the little bit of a broader picture, right? So not only is there a seed shortage now, but that started way before now, right?
before COVID,
Before COVID, and so the demand goes up. COVID tips the meter, right? A lot more people are staying home. They're refurbishing their yards, whatever they're doing. The demand goes up because golf is more popular. People can be outside. Sports
Absolutely.
fields, people can be outside.
Well, I've never thought about this. It's more people are playing golf, and then at the same time they're outside their houses renovating and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna ask, so there's more demand,
Yeah.
so then you get rid of your stocks and like all the seed that's on hand,
Yeah.
and then you're just kind of out.
Then you're out.
Yeah.
And so what happens, we only grow so much.
Yeah.
And so most of the grass seed production in the world is in the Willamette Valley. They call it the grass seed capital of the world. It's essentially from,
Is it in Oregon?
it's in Oregon,
I was
thank
gonna
you.
say,
Yeah,
is that-
Really?
it's
is-
Oregon.
I'm like, my
Yeah.
mind goes straight to Oregon for that. Yeah, yep.
And it's really in this valley. It's the Willamette Valley of Oregon. And then we grow some seed in New Zealand, we grow some seed in Minnesota and some in Canada, and then in Europe.
Yep.
But the demand is global. And most of the United States, the demand is east of the Mississippi and then the southern states, right? And so like for overseeding and all those golf courses. So imagine golf is the more popular.
Yep.
And now
Sports
the
field.
sports field supply is depleted.
Yep.
And then here comes the demand, and then here comes the trifecta. We have massive drought, we have major ice storms and wildfires that have never been seen before.
I forgot there was a drought,
Yeah.
so
It
then
was
the
a
crop
heavy
wasn't
drought.
as good.
Heavy drought.
Yield.
For years.
Yeah.
Years,
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't know how you guys deal with it, Just being able to get seed for our fields is incredible, but like there's so many different levels that, again, people don't ever think about, again, the seed farm or anybody who's producing and how you guys are doing it.
I actually had
harvesting.
no idea how they did it.
Oh.
And something somewhere on the internet I saw, and I was like, oh, they use a and then I was like, that makes sense that they use a combine, but I don't know. I just watched the video on it, and I was like, I never thought about where it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, same, right? A lot of people, and now they start to become interested.
It comes in bags. That's where
It comes
it comes from.
Yeah, it comes in bags,
On a
right?
pallet.
It's like
Yeah.
like the chickens come from the freezer section.
There you go, right?
Not the thing that we killed,
Right.
Oh, pardon that graphic.
But then you look at, so then we're steeped in research at Pure Seed.
Mhm.
That is our global, like Crystal Rose Fricker
Yep.
is second generation. Her dad, Bill Rose Fricker, God rest your soul, Bill. He just passed away, but he
Sorry.
was the visionary in the industry.
Yeah.
His daughter now, Crystal Rose Fricker, runs Pure Seed Testing, several of the Rose Agri-Seed companies.
Your best friends are waving at you over there. Carly.
Powerful.
Carly, she's waving at you. I know, I mentioned it.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see y'all. Yeah, high five.
Gina loves you, by the way.
Oh,
She's our chaperone.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
What a
yeah.
gift that
does.
they were there today.
Yeah.
And so now with Crystal, and so now people are starting to pay more attention to the research. So those drought-tolerant varieties, those disease-resistant varieties, those
Definitely.
varieties that germ quicker, those varieties that green up quicker, those, all these different things. Go ahead.
Just talking about that, I was sitting in one of the classes today, and they were comparing Kentucky 31
Yeah.
and at like in the 80s or 90s, and it was like the highest ranked on something, like pretty much overall. And then you look at it today, and it's like very low,
Yeah.
very low. And there's so many better seeds now, and that's all the breeding and the planning that goes into that to make it better.
I love that you were in
Naturally.
class today learning that,
They're,
right?
Yes.
they're all over the
Yeah.
place, I know Carly's, she wants to be an athletic trainer and focus on
She
some
went to the
research with
player
that. She went
injuries.
to Chase Straw's educational part on
Huge.
player interaction and on the field and whatnot. So it's
Yeah.
been great for the kids. It's been an awesome experience for sure. So how was the women's luncheon? Obviously you're here because
Yeah.
making friends with Mrs. Butler over there and everything.
Yes.
How was
Yes.
that, and how was the experience for that?
You know, I've had the privilege. I get to speak at a lot of events. I've had the privilege to do a lot of really cool things, but today is probably one of those, career moments.
That's awesome.
I was invited by Hunter Industries and Christine Sion to
Incredible.
be
Yeah.
the keynote for the luncheon. The gals happened to sit with me. They had no idea because they were painting a field, right?
They
was
just
a-
came
they
back.
had just walked just from that.
Yeah,
Right.
we sent them before we were done just to make sure they got there in enough time. We're like,
Right.
oh no, it's like 20 minutes in. We got to get them there.
But what happens when you're the last person that walks in the room?
The front table right up
Right
front
there.
is definitely
they met
open.
you.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, you're welcome.
That's amazing.
And you know what? We reserved
I'm
this
sure
table just
they
for you.
love you.
Yeah.
All of them
Oh,
love you. They
wow.
had a great
Wow.
time. I know they did. And I know
So
Mrs.
much
Butler is
fun.
smiling
She is.
from ear to ear over there.
Yeah. Well, and
So-
I think the gift, the name of the conversation today was engage, empower, encourage,
Yeah.
and evolve. Right?
Absolutely.
For
and this
ease.
is, yeah, for ease.
Yep.
And what has happened over time is that now that the industry is becoming more inclusive, and to have these gals and your captain show up in the room, happen to sit at the front table.
Yeah.
That was not that was
Totally
seren-
planned.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you.
Brentsville Turf
Yeah.
planned that.
That's
From-
solid work. Some
Thank
of your
you.
best work.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And then the interaction, and for me personally, I get to speak at a lot of different events, but this was the culmination of a lot of really cool things, and I had the privilege to dare them to live. I had the privilege to share a peanut butter story with them, and I had a privilege to share high fives with them and what that means. Networking, understanding who you're talking to, where you are, what's coming next. And I've had some really amazing mentors in my life, and had they not been the one, and we call it the knock on the door,
Yeah.
had I not had that in my life, I don't even know what it would have been like, because it changed the course of my life. And I'm sitting here now with
That's
a couple of cool cats
Thank you.
talking
I
about turf.
appreciate
I
that.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're big turf people here.
Yeah, you are.
Big turf guy.
Big Toro guys too. Thank you,
Oh,
Toro,
okay,
for
thank you,
partnering
Toro.
with us.
Yeah, yeah,
Josh
absolutely.
Jan's over there again, back up on top on what's the deck called? On
Up
deck.
on the Lido deck.
Top deck. I
Something
don't know.
like that.
We are safe
I'm
and
gonna
secure
say.
back here at the dock at the Westlands.
Oh,
Here we go.
We're done.
Already
No,
safe.
we're gonna get Nick on here.
Okay,
We
Nick.
want to thank you so much for taking
Guys,
the time.
Thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Until we meet again. Whoa, no, until we meet
High
again.
five, high
Yeah.
five.
Every now and then,
Yeah.
solid ground,
Oh,
get up in
get
that
in
red
here
Westlands,
right here.
all-
Look here, this guy
look around
right
the
here.
south, all
High
the-
fives.
Look right there.
This episode of Tiger Turf Talk is presented by the Toro Company. Introducing the all-new Toro Field Pro 640 infield groomer. This workhorse features efficient operations with the innovative multi-tool and incredible versatility of attachment options. The dedicated platform produces a consistent, superior infield playing surface regardless of starting conditions. With the Field Pro 6040, it's game on. For more information on the Field Pro 6040, visit Toro.com or contact your local Toro distributor. Toro, count on it.
Welcome back. We have the sports turf. Whoa, we gotta stop. Whoa, there we
Get it
go.
right.
Go Turf.
Big-
Already,
Big
we got
changes. Get it
The
right.
Sports Field Management Association president, brand new as of 8 a.m.
9 a.m.
9
this
a.m.
morning.
I
9
was
a.m.
talking.
Eastern. I live in Central Time,
That's
so
true.
8 a.m.
Yep.
Technically, you're right.
There we go.
Central
There we go.
Time's the only time
So-
in my mind.
Well, I liked the reveal.
The
Very
reveal was awesome.
Hype.
Also,
Pump up.
I love the fact there's a logo.
Yep.
And I love how the logo reflects all the areas of sports turf. You got the plate, you got the round for the pitch, you got the lines for the football. Everything's covered.
You wouldn't believe how many emails it took to get that thing made.
I was gonna
It
say,
like
how
back
did
and
that
forth,
take?
Back and forth.
does that
Not
good.
didn't
It was
include
like
this, need
months.
this, need that.
Yeah.
What was it? What brought everything about? What was again sort of that process for you?
Well, it's really, honestly, like this has been a culmination of probably year and a half, 2 years of
Yeah.
discussions within our board. And really the discussions go back almost 10 years from the board of directors. Years and years and years ago, they considered it. The timing just wasn't right. We brought it back up. A couple of years ago, as an association, we made the decision to kind of trend away from using the word turf.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, it's kind of been poached from us.
Jerks. What? Excuse me.
Everybody walks up and, the question annoyed the crap out of me because we have natural grass fields on
Yeah, of
everything we
course.
have at Texas A&M. And, And fans will come up and they'll be
God
like,
bless Texas.
They'll be like, is that turf? And I'll be like, well, yes, technically it is. It's turf grass, which is where that word originates from.
Yeah.
But over the course of years, the synthetic turf industry started to use that analogy or that word to describe their product. And so we recognize that as an association that we have lost that word.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, it was a great word. But
and that's a cat that you're never going to put back in the bag. Like,
never.
It is what it is. Let's figure out how we move
signed,
forward.
sealed, and delivered.
Yeah, instead of trying to change it back, let's just move.
Yeah, let's move forward. So a couple of years ago, we made the designation like we're going to stop using the word turf. We will now refer to playing surfaces as natural grass fields or synthetic turf grass. So so along that lines, we went down that road. We started making that recommendation, and then our members would come back and they said, well, if we're not going to use the word turf anymore, why is it still in our name?
Yeah.
And
100%.
literally at that point, I'm like,
Good question.
That's a really good question. So
don't
you've
know.
got a great point. So that kind of prompted some of the original conversation. From that point, it goes way beyond that. We've had these discussions for years of we want our association to be more, to continue to grow, continue to advance. The Sports Turf Managers Association has always been and always was about the people. And that's still our plan. It's still about the people doing the work. But by changing the name, so we dropped the word turf, added the word field, which I think is more inclusive, more representative.
Absolutely.
And we changed the word manager to management.
Made
so
it
now
a lot
that
more official.
So yes, so now we cover a broader spectrum. Now we can talk about more than just the people. We can talk about the industry and the issues, and whether that's legislation or whether that's what's the best surfaces, whether it's artificial turf or natural grass, or a lot of people were scared away from our association because I'd say, well, why aren't you an STMA member? Well, I'm not a manager, so I don't feel like I belong. So the goal is now we're management. We're about the industry. We're about the people. We want to bring in everybody.
Absolutely.
So combine that, and then we were presented with a unique opportunity in the timing of the association. We were in a position where we needed to develop a new strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so we as a board met this last summer, developed kind of we had people come in and help us work us through the process. And we've created this grand vision for where do we want to be in 10 years?
Yeah.
2031. Wouldn't it be cool if we did
Crazy
this?
thought.
That's a long ways away.
It is a long way away. You're going to be in my position by then, and that's going to be a really cool process.
That would be cool.
So
Sam here actually wants to work for Chad Price, hopefully.
Okay.
In years to come.
So we developed this 10-year plan, and originally we were thinking, we were just going to change the name just to make it more inclusive. Well, at that point, when we developed this 10-year plan, and we've got these big dreams, like this is where we want to be in 2031. This is what we want to become. This is the grand vision we have. Mm-hmm. We said, well, you know what? The name change doesn't encompass all that. Like, you know what? We need to blow this thing up, and let's go with a full rebrand. Let's go new name, new logo, new tagline, and let's use this as a launching platform for our association for the years to come.
I like the tagline too.
So
I love the tagline.
yeah.
What was it again specifically?
You got it? You remember it?
Where the game begins.
Where the game begins.
Oh,
Exactly.
I got it right.
And
Nailed it.
I think I mentioned that in the general session, by the way. Scared.
It woke you up,
Lord.
It woke you up, didn't it?
Oh, I was awake the entire night.
That's my joke. I joked with your students. I was like, you all were sleeping in the back of the room. That first drum crack, bam, woke you, every single one of you out of your seat.
I didn't make you fall
I was
asleep,
in the
did
front,
I?
and I was like, is that from the front or the back?
And once again, ladies and
Boom.
gentlemen, we are safe, secured back here at the dock. So,
So-
if you've not done so
but,
already, please make your way to the exit now.
They're distracting me trying to kick us off. the
No,
boat.
it's okay. We
So-
got a little bit more time.
They're trying to kick
But
us.
lost my
Once
so
again, joining us
yeah. So
tonight.
where the game begins, and I've said this for years. I always joke with my crew. You know, we always, as sports field managers, we stress about everything, the weather and the timing, and the field and the condition it's in, and they're not giving us enough time to get it right. And at the end of the day, I always tell my crew, like, boys and girls, they're going to play the game whether we're ready or not. Mm-hmm. But let's not forget, the game doesn't happen without a field to play on. So the game does begin with us. And so that's why it really resonated with us when we made that decision, like, as a new tagline.
Absolutely.
Let's remind the public, or put it in the forefront of the thought of the public, like, I never really thought about how important, like, we don't play a game if there's not a field to play on. And so, in essence, every game really does begin with us and what we do. And that's where I think where it's really going to resonate.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't realize how many county, not just like professional sports, like what's
Parks
the word?
and Rec.
Parks and Rec people were going to be here.
That's actually our largest demographic, and if you think about it, it makes sense. You look across the country, the
It does
NFL.
make sense.
There's only 32 NFL teams.
Yeah.
There's only so many major league teams, but every single town, city,
Yeah.
county across America has ball fields, has parks, so they've got departments. That's actually our biggest demographic. Those are the people where we have the most fields, the most users, and they often get overlooked for the jobs that they do.
Well,
Yeah.
we want to thank you, Nick McKenna, the Sports Field Management Association, where the game begins.
Yes.
We can't thank you enough for taking the
I
time.
can't thank you guys. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
You know I'm your biggest fan. I will support you guys in anything and everything you do.
And I do
'cause
want to say thank you so much for everything you did with Ryland.
Hey.
I mean, that picture that morning, 2 or 3 days after
So,
you passed, was
I've
incredible.
still got my shirt. I've got my Ryland shirt, my Ryland Strong shirt with me today.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, his legacy is going to live on through all of us, through what we do.
We will do it for him. So.
But yeah, I'm just a proud.
We had
I'm
our,
proud I could be a small part of that.
We had our Ryland Strong Foundation stuff
I
on
love it.
today, so yeah, it was
love
great.
it.
Yeah, I have a polo on underneath.
Yeah.
Ryland Strong.
All right. I do want to send a huge shout out to our people at Toro for having us on the boat, and it's
Thank you,
been
Toro.
an incredible
Thank you.
time. We're big Toro guys here, so
Big Toro
remember
guys.
that, okay? Have a wonderful rest of your Sports Field Management Association conference.
Right.
Stay tuned for our second edition of the Tiger Turf Talk podcast at the 2022 Sports Field Management Association Conference, presented by the Toro Company, where we sit down with the product team at Toro to discuss their newest products being showcased at this year's SFMA conference.